This is my living room, and it's going to be the stage for today's cinematography lesson. We are going to set up this living room in 3 different ways, with no lights, with 1 light, and then with a whole bunch of lights for a whole proper setup. We are going to look at a few different techniques that would be used to light something like a living room with windows, so that maybe you can find a little bit of inspiration in this video to see what you would want to do in a similar scenario, but with your cinematography. But that's enough introduction. Let's light this room up. So the first setup is only utilizing the windows in the room. And in this room, there are 2 windows, a smaller window and a double-sized window. And the biggest thing you can do as a cinematographer working with the director when it comes to only using available light is talking about subject placement. What is the best spot in the room that your subject can be in order for the lighting to affect them most? And even if you don't have a lot of control over the subject placement, you can see how just moving curtains around can actually be extremely effective in changing the entire feel of the shot, from being extremely dark and moody to being very bright and almost a high-key look. Now, I've almost made an entire career off shooting with available and natural light, especially through windows. But as I grow and you start to see the different scenarios you're in, you're not always gonna have available light that available. And quite frankly, because the sun is always moving, it's kind of always against you. Yeah, talk about natural light and the friggin' light just keeps, friggin' window lighting wants to change something every 5 seconds. That's okay. Thank you, 60X. Thank you, Amaran. Hi, Post Video Davis. Listen, also, if you're shooting with windows, look at the kind of type of window you got too. As you can see, these are very standard windows, but if we were to go to something like my bathroom, as you can see, that is a frosted window. And you're gonna get a completely different look from something like a regular window, a tinted window, or whatever. Just something to keep in mind. So let's just add 1 more light in order to combat the changing environment of available light. This is the Amaran 60X. It is not that expensive. And with technology today, you do not need an expensive light in order to get a good look. In fact, I have the 60X lighting my face right now for the talking head portion. And all we're doing here is setting up the 60X, setting it to about 4600 Kelvin, putting the regular Bowens Fresnel mount on the top, and then blasting it into the corner of the wall. Now, this technique is a poor man's version of Louis Potts' techniques he talked about in a video I got linked in the description. It's just bounce lighting, but you're placing the bounce light in the location that you would actually want a light coming from. And this is simply boosting the lighting that you have in the room. A big advantage this also gives you as a cinematographer is that you are no longer a slave to subject placement that has to be near the window. You can now place them somewhere like right here where I'm sitting. And that way you can better expose for the highlights on the windows to more control the environment, and then use something like the 60X's bounce to get that shape you're looking for. Even in this shot here, it's very moody, but let's say I wanted a little bit more in the face, get more of a Rembrandt effect. I literally just scooted the light over like a couple inches and shifted the angle ever so slightly to the left, and boom, we got exactly what we're looking for in the shot. And if you don't want to do the bounce method, you could throw on something like Aputure's light domes and just directly blast the light into the face. This is the technique we used a lot in our newest short film coming up, Herself, where we had window lighting, but we were also combating kind of crappier ceiling lights, and also the light coming through the windows just was not that powerful. So we put the light dome in front of the 60X and we just used it to just blast into the side of each face at the conference room scene. And because it was such a simple setup, every time we went to a new shot, I had to make just very, very minor movements and adjustments to the light in order to get exactly what we were looking for. Note to self, the friggin' light dome costs more than the light. Yeah. That is enough. You are a hoodlum. We are YouTubers now. We must be kind to our neighbors. You wanna go on to the next one? Yeah, let's talk about the next one. Final setup we are doing involves pretty much every light I have in my arsenal, which granted isn't much, but it's utilizing my most expensive lights and my favorite lights, which are the Nanlite Pavotubes, the second iteration of the RGB versions. I've got 2 of them. I've got scrims, I got C-stands, and of course I got the Aputure. So now we can really go balls to the walls with what we want to do with lighting. Now I'm gonna do a separate video talking about these LED tubes because I friggin' love these things. We can place our subject anywhere, and because we have the windows established in the setting, in the environment, or at least in the wide shot, we can be very flexible in where we place lights from here on out. Because now we convince the audience of where the light is coming from. So when light appears, it feels natural. We're not trying to trick anyone, even though we are. Because we essentially have our lights at a 45-degree angle and a slightly less 45-degree angle that favors the face more. And then we mess with the power settings in order to get more of a wrap of light. It feels very comforting, it feels very filmic. It's a little higher key, but a mood is still there. It might not be as intense as something like I'm used to, but I think we can objectively say that it is a pleasant look. And I actually really enjoy this look for scenes that don't require a ton of drama or interviews. I love this look for interviews. And to take the effect a step further, I have this sheet of bleached muslin that I picked up from Joann Fabrics, because if you buy it from a friggin' film store, you're probably gonna spend like 200 bucks on it, when really you should be not paying any more than 10 bucks on a friggin' fabric. I threw the bleached muslin in front of the lights, it softened up the light even more, and now we have this extremely soft wrap happening around the character. Now this lighting technique was also used by Carlo Stigliano, but utilizing pool noodles, and it actually really freaking worked. So whether you got bleached muslin, pool noodles, or something else that can diffuse your light in front of an LED tube or something like that, you have a lot of options at your disposal. You just need to experiment. But I find that just slapping some bleached muslin in front of the tubes offers the softest light I need. In fact, for all my talking head YouTube videos I do in the office, that is the lighting setup I'm doing. I have a back window and I just scoot the curtain open a little. That's it. And now that you've got all these lights out here, have some fun with it. Experiment with some different looks. Experiment with what happens if you change color temperatures. If you, say, close up all the windows and want even more control in your room. If you got RGBs, maybe play around with some colors. Maybe you can trick what time of day it is if you have your angles right and a little bit of color theory applied. Or just go batshit crazy and like start throwing pinks and neons and greens in there and just, I don't know, see what happens. It's your movie, who cares? And this is the part where I tell you to go in the comments and talk about which one did you like most. If you were to ask me, personally, I'm still a sucker for just using windows, but I am becoming a huge fan of that bounce technique to just get a little bit of wrap around the face, because sometimes I think people do a lot of work in cinematography and it kind of takes away from the depth and beauty of the area that's already there. That is an extremely subjective opinion. There are plenty of DPs and directors that I adore that use very big setups. And there are other DPs that I adore that would probably shock you with how much they're actually not doing. The bottom line is you just want to get a look that does 3 things. 1, it achieves what the director is going for, because first and foremost, we're here to support the director. 2, we want to make an image that we're comfortable with. Something that feels like we're not cutting corners and that we're actually being effective in our skills as a DP for, like I said, the story and the director, never forget that. And we also want to make sure that we're being efficient, making sure that we're not doing too much or a bunch of heavy lifting to get a look that we could have gotten with less gear. Time is one of your biggest enemies when making a film, a commercial, whatever. If you remember those 3 things and you take what you want from the techniques that we just applied today, I promise you, you will find some improvement and efficiency in your cinematography going forward. This is what the Six Shop really wants to do more. Actually teach you the art form. Real techniques, real tips on how to be a director, a cinematographer, or just a filmmaker in general. More videos like this will be pushed out, and whatever you want to learn next, please put it down in the comments. And if there's anything in this video you want to add from your insight or from your experience as a filmmaker, we would love to see it in the comments. We always love giving some bonus tidbits to the community, and quite frankly, I learn from you guys too, so keep it up. And remember, July 13th, Herself, our newest film, will be coming out. It's a special one. Very proud of it. It is a all veteran and service member made film, and we are so excited to present it to you guys. Until the next video, stay hydrated, stay caffeinated, and goodbye.